There is a magic to snow in old movies. It's one of the most dependably beautiful special effects. It's the way the flakes mix in with the film grain. With all that white, the rest of the scene appears natural, without color. Snowfall is often saved for a movie's emotional climax, such as the violent snow falling in the river where George Bailey considers suicide, the sad shimmering flakes falling on Kanji Watanabe, or the prison of cold fog that traps Danny and Wendy. Snow shows the weight of the world. The motion bears down on the characters. Different snow evokes different moods. It's effective at visualizing intensity and serenity. These scenes are beautiful, which is why I find it surprising that none of the snow we just saw is real. Making it snow has haunted filmmakers for over a century.
And that was hell in that stage.
You can't even hear us. Reduce the snow.
When the temperature was over 100.
They got frostbite.
It left your face really red and raw. I mean, it just really got in your eyes and your ears, your whole body.
Still have some snow in my ear.
What material do you use? For rain, it's obvious. Water. But for snow, it's a lot more ambiguous. It has to be white and fluffy, and it can't just fall straight down. It has to float a little bit. And how do you get a constant, uniform spread? But why fake it at all? Why not just film when it's snowing?
You serious?
To film a snowfall, you usually need to be in the northern hemisphere. In The Empire Strikes Back, Hoth was mostly Finse, Norway. Harrison Ford is in a real blizzard here, but as you can see, he's not having much fun, and neither is the Tauntaun or the crew.
Of course, everything froze up there. The Tauntaun wouldn't move. The breath that was supposed to come from his nostrils froze up, didn't work.
Problem 1. When it snows, it's cold.
So one thing for the actors in this film, they all look very cold because they really were very cold.
People move slower, have to wear gloves, and big coats that make everybody look the same. And then there's the problem of setting up your shot and... shit. It's dark already? It's 3 p.m.
The problem with shooting films in very cold countries in winter is that the day is very short. The daylight lasts about 3 or 4 hours.
And then there's the wait.
Looks like she's gonna turn cold tomorrow.
Oh yeah, got a front coming in.
Yeah, you got that right.
Sometimes it just doesn't snow for weeks, and you don't know when it'll start again.
It was one of the least snowy winters on record, I believe, in Minnesota. And this opening sequence, we had to wait for weeks and weeks before we got our first snowfall.
So for this shot in Fargo, all the snow in this car park had to be added with a snow machine.
All this snow was put in, every little bit of snow here. If you look in the far distance in this shot, there's no snow. It all, by that time, melted in the whole of Minneapolis.
Then there's the problem of take 2.
And obviously, we just did one take. It was going to take too long to cover up the tracks, so that was it.
And those movies are from the 80s and 90s. The older the production, the older the technology. These big boxes are what we used to call cameras. Old cameras had many moving mechanical parts lubricated with oil. In the cold, the oil froze, so the camera froze. Fake snow had problems, but real snow had bigger problems. Ever since the pictures started moving, all sorts of different materials were used to simulate the cold stuff. Some were carcinogens, fire hazards, edible, or harmless fluff. Let's find out which classic used what. Starting over 100 years ago with this funny guy. In the Sierra Nevada, there's a big hill known as the Sugar Bowl. It's the location for the opening of Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush. The production dug a 700-meter long path where 600 extras walked. It's the only scene in the movie with real snow. One of the reasons why Los Angeles first became a popular place for movie making was the lack of weather year-round. That's where the rest of The Gold Rush was shot, in LA during the summer of 1924, meaning all of these shots are sets. And the snow, flour, and plaster. But that's just the snow on the ground. The storm pushing Chaplin here was a wind machine, blasting him with a combination of mica, a flaky mineral, and cornflakes. Cornflakes bleached white was one of the most common snow substitutes, but it had problems. Tasty and noisy problems. Deer would wander on the set for a quick meal, and then there was the noise.
You know, it's funny us going for each other this way, but then I guess it just had to be.
We couldn't help it. We were just thrown together by fate.
When walking on breakfast cereal, all the dialogue had to be re-recorded because of the crunch. This wasn't a problem in the early 20s because talking hadn't been discovered in movies yet, but by the 30s, ears became big business. Cotton, sawdust, and chopped chicken feathers were popular choices. They're quiet and safe until someone drops a cigarette on it. The ideal snow would have been fireproof, inedible, unmeltable, and quiet. Hollywood needed a miracle substance.
For this is a remarkable mineral. Actually stone, it is made up of tiny but extremely strong and flexible fibers. In fact, it is best known for its use in all fields of fire protection.
Before we knew that asbestos causes an aggressive form of cancer called mesothelioma, it was one of the snow alternatives in movies, and was also commercially sold.
Does help. Dorothy, you're waking up!
In The Wizard of Oz, the quartet's wakeful shower was made of a dangerous material, but it probably wasn't asbestos. It's been widely reported that the snow in The Wizard of Oz, White Christmas, and Citizen Kane was asbestos.
These flakes on Dorothy's face after the Good Witch's snow spell is actually asbestos.
Asbestos in The Wizard of Oz.
From Netflix, IMDb, and MovieWeb. But most articles, curiously, don't provide a source for this information. That's because, as far as I can tell, there is no primary source. These articles seem to be directly or indirectly referring to a news story from 1981, where industrial hygienist Kenneth Cohen claims asbestos was used as snow in The Wizard of Oz and White Christmas, going on to assert that the Wizard of Oz snow scene was shot 27 times. Where he got his information is a mystery. We do know that the behind-the-scenes book, The Wizardry of Oz, claims that the snow was white gypsum, and their source is solid. Makeup artist Charles Schramm, who worked on the movie and remembers picking gypsum out of the wigs in between takes. What is gypsum? Well, look at your wall. It's probably inside it. It's commonly used as drywall, and crushed gypsum is unhealthy when inhaled, especially over a long period of time. But it's not nearly as bad as asbestos. It is worth noting that in an interview, Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch, confirms that asbestos was used in the movie, in the Scarecrow's costume for fireproofing.
Asbestos will not burn.
As for White Christmas, I couldn't confirm its snow substance. It could have been many things, but we shouldn't spread the claim that the snow in these movies was asbestos unless we uncover a reputable primary source. And if you know of any, please leave a comment. What about Citizen Kane? To quote Orson Welles in his interview book, our snow scene in Kane was all shot on stage 4 at RKO with cornflakes. And it worried me because you didn't see people's breath. An easily overlooked detail that sells the cold is cold breath. One solution is a little cage with a piece of dry ice inside, which is what Frank Capra used for his 1931 film Dirigible. The drawback being dialogue sounds like this with a cage in your mouth. Clarence Muse was the only actor who ended up using the contraption. With Orson Welles' The Magnificent Ambersons and Frank Capra's Lost Horizon, both directors solved the cold breath conundrum. But how were these glorious misty exhales created? By lowering the temperature. The scenes were shot in ice houses. Filming in a walk-in freezer had another benefit. Real snow wouldn't melt. Just a few years earlier, for the film As the Earth Turns, technical director Louis Gebb created the first known snowmaking machine. 400-pound blocks of ice were dropped onto 3 rotating blades, shaving the ice into tiny pieces that then passed through a giant fan. Shaved ice became an option. Some of the most gorgeous examples include The Shop Around the Corner and Meet John Doe. But what about the freezing oil in the cameras? Cold-resisting lubricants had been found. But another problem surfaced. In Lost Horizon, the cold caused static electricity that made marks on the unexposed film. So they had to do a lot of retakes. What the movies needed was a non-meltable, non-toxic, non-cold, non-flammable, non-edible, non-noisy material. They'd find some after World War II. It's a Wonderful Life was shot in June and July 1946. Temperatures of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 32 degrees Celsius, fried the set. The set was Bedford Falls, one of the largest sets built for a movie at the time. It took up 4 acres, including 75 buildings and 20 real oak trees. The challenge was also big. Bedford Falls had to change seasons. Fall was easy enough, they took the leaves off the trees, but winter. Cornflakes were out of the question for director Frank Capra. He had already suffered through that crunch in Dirigible. He wanted to record live dialogue to keep the actor's vocal performance. Real snow would melt. Caught in feathers and sawdust would risk prematurely recasting Vertigo. They needed something new, and a lot of it. Their savior was Russell Shearman. Working with his staff at RKO, he mixed a few substances and created a new formula. The first 2 ingredients were water and soap, and the third secret ingredient is found in fire extinguishers, a chemical called foamite. Here's some under the brand name Foamate. When forced out of large pipes under high pressure, the mixture turned into pure white fluff. When the fluff was sprayed in front of big fans, this was the result. That's how snow in old movies is constantly falling and spread out evenly. There's a guy with a hose or a bin emptying the stuff in front of a fan. The foamite mix was used for the snowfall, while other materials were also used on the ground, such as shaved ice and gypsum, and the trees were sprayed with white plaster. It's a Wonderful Life used more fake snow than any other film at the time. The new foamite snowfall was odorless, biodegradable, clung convincingly to clothing, and most importantly, quiet, meaning we can hear Jimmy Stewart's line delivery exactly as he yelled it while running down that street.
Yay! Hello, Bedford Falls! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, Stuart!
Let's visit Toho Studios in Japan, where Akira Kurosawa and his crew took a much simpler approach to snow for Ikiru. This scene is one of the few moments of unrestrained, poetic visual beauty in the film, which is mostly unsentimental and straightforward. Which material was used for this masterpiece? Bread.
麩ですね。麩を作っていく。今度は金網のとこでこうやって置いてね、そいつを結局降らしたわけだけどね。この金網でこれぐらいの金網のところでね、でこう吸っちゃうんですよ。それでふるいで振るって、それで大きいやつはこうやって小さいっちゃうと一番粉は捨てちゃって。
They then threw out all of the pieces that were baked too much so they wouldn't fall too quickly. In the next few decades, Hollywood studios gave directors huge budgets to create magnificent epics. Snow reached new peaks of scale.
Now, the big problem. It's set in Russia.
The book, Dr. Zhivago, was banned in the Soviet Union because of its critical stance on the October Revolution and life under communism. So the movie adaptation needed somewhere else to shoot David Lean's big ol' landscape shots.
One's then got to think of the scenery in which they play their scenes.
The crew settled on a few locations. In the real snow and cold of Joensuu, Finland, where one scene and a few wide shots were filmed.
This was about 20 degrees below 0 Celsius. Very cold.
But most of the movie was shot in the heat of Spain. Just outside Madrid, they built a huge set for Moscow with a functioning streetcar.
And there were scenes shot up there when the temperature was over 100 Fahrenheit, which were snow scenes.
That was set designer John Box, who along with prop man Eddie Fowley converted Spain into Russia. Spain was chosen because the terrain is flat and in northern Spain it snows. But the team had the misfortune of landing on Spain's warmest winter in 50 years. These vast plains were patchy and needed to be snowed in. Their solution came from a nearby marble quarry, where they bought thousands of tons of marble dust.
We had to roll out miles of white plastic and cover it with white marble dust.
We painted trees white in the winter and covered hedgerows with white plastic.
The Frozen Ice Palace is one of the most haunting and memorable pieces of production design.
And the house inside, which looks frightfully cold, is not. It's quite warm.
But how did John and Eddie make it?
We just did it very simply. We had very hot white wax. Eddie went round with a bucket and a big mug, and he threw it all over the architecture, the furniture, and everything else. When I thought it looked right, I hit it with nearly freezing water with a pump that just froze. And dabbed a bit of mica on later and that sort of thing. Seemed to work.
The Shining uses snow as a prison, an oppressive haze of cold that isolates the Torrance family. Some shots in the film are real winter in Washington, but most of the movie was shot in Elstree Studios in England, where the Overlook Hotel and the maze were built. As for the weather forecast, look at how sweaty Jack Nicholson is.
And it was about 90 degrees in there.
An essential part of the effect was the thick fog, which was oil smoke. The falling snow was styrofoam chips. The massive snow on the ground and in crests around the lodge was a cooking ingredient.
This is the exterior set, which actually, if you can believe, that was all salt.
Over 900 tons of salt on top of formaldehyde-based foam. The salt killed plant life and rotted the soles off the boots of the crew. After all those unique, hard-earned solutions, in the 1980s, snow started to become standardized. For Company of Wolves, Snowcell was invented, which is mostly paper. You've probably seen Snowcell before in the Harry Potter films. There are some outliers though. For Fellowship of the Ring, they used a salty rice-based product, and some shots in the Grand Budapest Hotel use snow candles.
You light this snow candle and then they swing them in the air and they fill the air with basically ash.
And more recently, Nosferatu.
The snow is made from potato flakes.
In old movies, making it snow was often the most complicated special effect. These days, studios can hire companies that specialize in creating fake snow of every condition, though most of the time it's paper. And fake snow no longer even needs to be real fake snow. Check out this street set in A Man Called Otto, and this is how it looks in the movie. Particle simulations are the modern challenge for making it snow. Remember the misty breath ordeal? In The Day After Tomorrow, every cold exhale in the movie was added digitally. It often snows in movies during the greatest moment of crisis, but also during the resolution, as a visual representation of a character's rebirth. Snow transforms a familiar space with a blanket of white. Erased of recognizable features, we enter a new world with endless possibility. Flour, plaster, mica, cornflakes, asbestos, gypsum, shaved ice, water, soap and foamite, bread, marble dust, wax and ice, styrofoam, salt, paper, rice, candles, potatoes, zeros, and ones. But on screen, it's always just snow. Thank you for watching. The channel is currently at 96.8 thousand subscribers. That's pretty close to 100,000.